So tips for DevRel beginners.
Yes. Okay. Amazing. So what you want to do is once you get into that position, you want to take the time to understand the business objectives, right? What products do they have? What features are exciting or useful?
Today, I'm super excited because we have someone who has already been on my YouTube channel, but not on a one-on-one podcast. She's from New Orleans, Louisiana, United States. She's a VP of DevRel, international keynote speaker, Java champion, GitHub star. I have to read because there are too many things. Inventor, 26 patents. I want to ask something about this. She's creating the impossible at TBD. She worked at IBM. She has been a senior software engineer at Twitter. And she's also super good at dancing. I've seen this with my eyes, but not in real life yet. Let me introduce you, Angie Jones. Welcome, Angie.
Thank you.
Nice. So, how are you? And then how did you get into tech? This is usually the questions that I like to start with the podcast.
Sure. So I'm one of those folks who did not grow up with computers and tinkering around. So I didn't even know that computer science or programming or anything like that was even a thing. When I went to college, I was very unsure of what I wanted to major in. My father, who was an accountant, he saw that computers were becoming more and more prevalent in his line of work, as well as his friends who were in other domains. And so he just recommended that I learn how to use the computer because he was pretty sure I would need to use it in whatever I decided to do. And silly me, for my intro to computer, I enrolled in a C++ programming course because I didn't know the difference, right? And so that's how I got into coding. I actually loved it and did well, and the rest is history.
Can we say shortly that your father was right?
Yes, he was. He's always right.
Nice. Thank you. Okay, so the title of this podcast is How to Get into DevRel. So the first question that I have for you is, was your first role a DevRel role or not?
No. So I worked as an engineer for the vast majority of my career for a very long time, more than 15 years as just a software developer. And at some point, I wanted to share with other developers. So I started creating content just on my own. I made my blog, and, I would write blog posts about various things. I'm really into Java, and I'm really into test automation. And testing is one of those things that developers struggle with. And so I figured I could help out by writing articles, and things like that. And then I started speaking at conferences. I only wanted to do one conference. I just had that on my bucket list. I want to speak at a conference one day, right? And then that turned into a whole career. So as I started writing and speaking, and then I started getting asked to do workshops, and I was doing this whole thing, this content creation thing, just on the side as a hobby, something I just wanted to do for the community. And that's when I later learned about developer relations as a profession. And so I made that switch because I was killing myself doing the content creation as well as my full-time engineering role. So that's how I got into developer relations. But it was well into my tenure as an engineer.
Nice. And I just started my journey as a public speaker just 4 months ago. I already made 5 conferences, and I really can't stop. It's like a drug. I really can't stop. And I think that I have to invite you again for public speaking. So let's sign up for another episode because I want you multiple times. But
yes.
Today, okay. So today, let's just focus on the DevRel part. And so how did you get your first role as a DevRel? Because the first role is it's always a bit strange, a bit different. So how did you get your first role as a DevRel?
Yes, very good question. And it's just like any other job. Once you demonstrate that you can do it, the risk is less for employers, right? They're not taking as big of a risk because they've already seen you. And so my first role was actually created for me for at this company. It's called Amplitudes. And Amplitudes, I knew the founders there. I saw them at the conferences, and they recognized me as someone who was influential in the space. And so they know that they needed that in-house to kind of create content about the amazing products that they were building. And we had a talk, and can we make this happen? And so that's how I got into that first role. But the demonstrated experience, like I said, I had already been doing this on the side. So I even put that experience on my resume. No, I wasn't doing it for a company. I just left that line blank where you put the company and the years you've been there. I just didn't put anything. And I put developer advocate, and I listed, all of my talks, the dozens of blog posts I'd written, the videos, the workshops. And so I had this demonstrated experience to show people.
Nice. And now I think a question that I made like 100 of times, if not 200 of times, and I always get a different answer. So what is DevRel for you?
DevRel for me is a two-way street. I essentially think of it like aligning my brand with a brand that I'm passionate about, right? That's very key. Don't miss that part, because I don't think you can be a really effective developer advocate if it's something that you don't really even like yourself that much, So it has to be something that you care about. And you are essentially teaching and bringing awareness to developers about the products that brand makes. And you're an in-house representation of the customer base. So you also bring it internally, like, listen, this is not going to be a hot feature. Nobody asked for this. Nobody wants it. Let me tell you what developers want, right? Here's the feedback that I'm getting. Then you do that. So that's, in my opinion, what developer relations is. It's a two-way street where I essentially act as an advocate for the end user who happens to be a developer. I help them, I educate them, I let them know, what features and products that we have. And then I also let the internal folks know what these folks are thinking.
Nice. And I think it's very close to my definition. So we're really in sync with this. It's something similar. Yes. Okay, now the main question of the podcast, which is how to get a role in DevRel. I got this question many times, and I give my own personal experience, what I did and what worked for me. But I'd like to hear from you. So it's a very generic one, but how can you get your first dev role or a DevRel role? Sorry.
Yes. Okay. So I think I can speak from a position of a hiring manager, right? Like I actually hire developer advocates. So I'll tell you like the types of things I'm looking for. Definitely looking for someone who's already created content. Back to that demonstrated ability, right? If you haven't created content yet, it's going to be very hard to land a developer advocacy role because we don't know if you can do it. And it's not as simple as, oh, okay, I can write a blog post. No, it's really heavy on communication. It's really heavy on being able to empathize with developers, and being able to effectively share the message with them, right? Or effectively get them started, get them going. I need to get a developer started with this in 5 minutes. Can I do that, right? And finding out the best ways to do that. So my advice for someone who wants to land that very first developer advocacy role is going to be, get a taste for creating content, right? This might not even be something you want to do. So make sure that it's, in line with your values and vision for your career. Create content, blog posts, videos, live streams, come on podcasts, do a couple of conference talks, or you can even do at your local meetup. But just go ahead and get some experience under your belt and feel it out. Also, I highly recommend, I hinted at this earlier, I highly recommend applying only to positions where you care about that technology. Like that is something that you'll be excited about, because you have to get other people interested. And if you're really good, get them excited about that tech. And that's really hard to do if you don't care about it yourself.
I really love this, and I think that you really can't keep going. Maybe you can keep going for a month, but after 2 months you are exhausted.
Yeah, you're like, I have no more to write about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what. But I think it's better to just not accept in the very first instance, instead of say, I don't know, I will like a front end DevRel role. For example, if you already know that you don't like front end, it's to be very, very hard. Unless you should be very lucky that maybe you find the perfect environment. Usually it's never like that. Usually it's the opposite.
Right.
And yes. So okay, so now let's get a step forward. So let's say that I get my first DevRel role. Today I can spell it, DevRel role. So okay, nice. And now what? So what can I do now? So tips for DevRel beginners.
Yes. Okay. Amazing. So what you want to do is, once you get into that position, you want to take the time to understand the business objectives, right? What products do they have? What features are exciting or useful for developers? And where do they want to go with this? What's the roadmap, right? A surefire way to shoot yourself in the foot is to just kind of run off with your own journey, right? You want to kind of be in line with the business goals. And so then from there, you can craft what you're going to do. Now, you're going to have to do a lot of learning, because you need to know your products inside and out. You are going to be like the face of this thing. You're going to go out, you're going to like tell an audience of hundreds to thousands of developers about how cool this is. And they're going to have questions, because developers are very inquisitive, right? So you can't just go with the marketing bullets, the high level fluff. You know how we are as developers. We see through that kind of stuff. So you have to be authentic. You have to be genuine. You have to know your stuff. So go in there, learn about the product, put your hands on that product, build something with it as a developer. Keep that engineering hat on. And so what I do, I take the products, I start like integrating them with other APIs or other products, or like, oh, I want to build this. Can I do that with our product? And it's not anything that's in the marketing literature or, anything like that. This is me as a curious developer thinking about the types of things that developers will need to build for their jobs. And I leave that engineering hat on, and then I can go and I can talk about that with credibility on stage. I have the answers to your questions. I don't lie. I never mislead people. If I don't believe in it or I think it's wrong, either I'm not going to say anything, or if you ask me, I'm going to be very honest. I don't care if we're in an audience of 1,000 people. I'm going to tell the truth, because my reputation is on the line, and I'm aligning my reputation with this brand, and they cannot mess that up, right? So I'm very protective of my reputation and the trust that the community has given me. I don't want to abuse that trust. So I'm very honest about everything. If you ask me something and I don't know, I will say I do not know. Let me find out for you. I'm curious as well at that point, because wow, you thought of something I haven't. And people relate to that,
Yes, I think that Angie is giving not just tips for the DevRel roles, but for life. Because what you say is basically like being honest with yourself, having you can watch in the mirror. I think it's most important, any kind of job, any kind of relations. So these are tips for life, not just for DevRel, but of course, this guy, I get what you say, because basically we are like the person in the front. We could say, like, if it was like, I don't know, a rock band, we would be, I don't know, the singers, the people really in the front, so people can see our face. This that's it. Yes. So what do you think it makes? So you already said something, but what do you think it makes a good or bad developer advocate?
A good developer advocate, again, someone who is honest and authentic. Authenticity carries a lot of weight, right? People can relate to that. And then someone who you want to align with, again, something that you care about, so that you can do those deep dives and really get in there. Like, I am so excited about the stuff that I'm working on right now that I'm just like, it's just very natural and organic. I don't wake up like, oh my God, I gotta go like create more content about this thing, right? No, I'm like super excited. I can't wait to go read some more about it. Like, oh, engineers, have you all built something else? Let me see. What's coming out, you know? So that makes a good one. Also someone who knows what's effective. So you don't want to just get in your own lane. Like, let's say, for example, I love going on Twitch or something like that, right? Oh, I just love doing live streams. I love people like doing the confetti and the emotes and all of that stuff, right? And so that's all you want to do. But you have like 5 people that show up every time, and you have another 5 people that might watch the recording. So was that a valuable use of your time, right? So you have to think outside of just what you want to do, and how can I reach the most developers in an effective way? And maybe that might be Twitter threads or blog posts or something else that's not as fun to you, but that's the job, right? And your job is not to have fun. You figure out how to have fun while doing the job, right? The job is to reach your core audience and educate and enlighten them. And so you need to go where they are. So that's a good one. A bad one is, I would say, someone who is not engaged with the community. That is so important. You can't advocate for a community that you're not a part of, right? You don't get it. You don't know. How are you going to bring that messaging to them in an effective way when you don't know their language, you don't know what they care about, their needs and their desires, right? So you have to be a part of the community, like authentic, genuine member of that community, to be able to advocate for them behind closed doors.
Nice. Okay, so how can we level up the career in DevRel? So let's say that, I don't know, we have, already 6 months, some years of experience. So what's next? So I don't know if you're thinking about a different role, or then, things move always fast in IT.
Yeah. So I like DevRel is becoming a thing, right? So when I started, it was kind of like a niche. A few of the big FANG companies had them, and then a couple of little companies here and there had them. Now, like almost every company is trying to get developer advocates, because they've realized how effective this is, because developers don't want to talk to marketers. They don't want to talk to salespeople, but they will talk to another engineer who they know and respect, who can answer their technical questions, right? And so there's more and more opportunity that's being presented in this space. So fortunately, I got in at a really good time where I was able to progress my career and climb this ladder. So I went in as an individual contributor. I built out the whole like developer relations program, and, was promoted multiple times. And now I'm a VP of developer relations, right? And so you see, like, even the role didn't exist, years ago when I first started. Like, new ladders are being created for this new wave.
And Angie, is there anything that you want to talk about, maybe about some projects that you're currently working on, something interesting? I don't know.
Yeah.
Surprise me.
So what I'm working on now is fascinating stuff. Like, this is probably the most exciting project that I've worked on in my career. And I've been in this industry for a very long time. I'm working on a decentralized web platform that we're calling Web 5. The reason we call it Web 5, because I know you're already thinking and someone's going to crack the joke. Let me tell you, save the joke because it's been cracked a million times already. But people go, oh, what happened to Web 4, right? So Web 5 essentially is the aggregation. Like we're taking the things that are good about Web 2 and the things that are good about Web 3, and we're combining them to make this Web 5 movement. And it's very limited to no use of blockchain, but we're figuring out other ways where we don't have to use tokens and like charge people transaction fees to tweet or do things like that, right? Instead, we're using open standards. These are W3C open standards for the web, decentralized identifiers, verifiable credentials, and decentralized web nodes. Each are individual web standards that we're aggregating and combining together to make this decentralized web platform that developers then can build decentralized web applications on top of. So that's what I'm working on right now. It's super exciting. If you want to read more about that, go to developers.tbd.website, and we have a blog post there called What is Web 5?
Nice. And I think we need another episode. So we need another episode for public speaking, another one for this one. So I think we are set for this year. But I would really like to make something with the space or whatever about this, if you agree.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, nice. Okay, and now before we close this first episode with Angie, usually at the end of this podcast, I like to leave you maybe a final message, especially for the beginners again. So especially, let's say, about the people who want to step into DevRel, maybe they feel a bit lost, they don't know where to start. So let's try to end this in a good way, please. Thank you.
Sure. So my advice to you would be to find an area that you're interested about. Like, do you care about like APIs? Do you care about like GraphQL? Do you care about databases? Or do you, like I cared about testing, right? Or do you care about Web3 or, you know, decentralized? Like, what do you care about? Find that area and then like make that your specialty. This is my specialty area, and just start casually creating content, right? That can be blog posts, that can be videos, it could be Twitter spaces or threads, just anything to educate the developer community. And you'll get a taste of what we do as a developer advocate. You'll get a feel of how the community consumes and engages with that content, and you're building the muscles for that role. So that would be my advice.
Nice. And I think we can summarize this like in less overthinking and more action, like whatever it is, whatever kind it is. I love this. I really love this because I think
and you can always pivot. Don't think you can't pivot. So my first, like I care about a lot of things. So my first role was about a test automation tool because I care about test automation. And I did some Java advocacy. I love Java. And now I'm very, very interested in decentralized web. So that's where I'm at now. And all of those are very different. So you don't have to stay put for your whole career. But I definitely recommend finding those things that you enjoy and you actually believe in.
Nice. Thank you so much, Angie. This has been really an enlightening episode. I loved this so much. So, of course, check Angie. All the links will be in the description. Angie, we need to do something else again together for sure. Last question: will you be at Render ATL next year?
Of course, I'll be there.
I'm trying to get the tickets, so maybe we'll meet in person.
Oh, that would be amazing.
I'm trying to get the tickets. Let's see. And then in that case, I don't know, we'll make a selfie together or whatever.
Yes.
Maybe I can dance, but I can't promise this. Let's see. I will not promise, but let's see. Nice. Perfect, Angie. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Nice to see you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.